Coming Down is proudly sponsored by Colorado Ganja Gear, high-quality, artistically inspired herb grinders. So let me tell you, these things are great. I actually own one. My favorite part is the perfect consistency you get after grinding. Some grinders just pulverize your herb into dust, but the razor-sharp teeth and smooth action on these always leave you with perfect, fluffy, evenly ground herb. The craftsmanship is top-notch, made from aircraft-grade aluminum to guarantee you won't get metal shavings mixed into your herb. But the best part, truly, is each grinder features original artwork created by Colorado artist Lori Beatty. She creates unique mandalas that are laser-etched into each magnetic lid. And each grinder comes in a silk bag and has free shipping. So just go to etsy.com/shop/Colorado Ganja Gear and enter the code Coming Down in all caps for $5 off, or go to the show notes for this episode and follow the link. Thanks and enjoy the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to Coming Down. My name's Matthew. I'm joined here by my co-host Nathan.
Hello, friends.
Oh boy.
Here we are. Now, I feel like we've bitched about this before, and then, now it's real.
I know! I'm like, oh, we can't bitch about the heat today, but oh,
look,
God.
I won't spend a lot of time on it, but it is 96 degrees out.
It's pretty much just not okay.
Yeah, it's terrible, and it's June. It just feels early for this, man.
I know. I mean, we've had those years where it, hits 90 in May, and, it's just a twisted hellscape for the rest of the year, but,
yeah.
That's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to rain until the 4th of July.
Right.
And then we get this nice temperate summer,
Right.
Now it's it's going to be really hot until we reach the season of Mordor.
Yeah, for real, man. The climate's been shifting here for a while, so it's not too big a surprise, but goddamn,
yeah.
Really, have been trying to muster the energy all day for this.
Dude, I'm just gonna start wearing trousers that I can keep in the freezer, just something that'll gird my loins and keep them cold, because
dude, that's not bad. A trick we used to do in Colorado was actually just take a towel and get it wet and wring it completely out, basically,
right.
And then throw that in the freezer and then just pull it out and put it around your shoulders, just on the nape of your neck.
Did you by any chance learn that trick working at a pizza pipeline? Because we definitely had to employ that at the pipeline a couple of times, because the AC on the roof would go out.
Oh God!
But can't turn the oven off.
Yeah,
so
right?
Just got to prop all the doors open and hope for the best.
Yeah, and then you're just chilling next to the pizza oven, no biggie. That thing's not hot.
We had a wall thermometer in the back corner by the hand washing sink that was adjacent to the oven, and that was kind of the corner that was the furthest from the cross breeze that was created by the doors. And I swear to God, it was in excess of 120 back in that corner. I don't remember exactly what the temp was, but I remember thinking, I've never seen it this hot outside before. I wonder if it's okay for us to be in here right now.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that does get into danger levels.
I mean, frozen towels. We were drinking lots of water and pouring water over ourselves and doing our just going and getting in the walk-in for a few minutes too.
Yeah,
because that was really nice. But we probably lost some brain cells just from working in that place
for real.
God, it was almost 2 weeks. That's brutal, man.
Yeah. Well, anyhow,
yeah. So it's hot.
As our listeners know, we hate the heat.
Yeah. No shit, man. We are definitely inside kids. As much as we love the outdoors, it's not I'm not trying to just go and bake in the fucking sunshine,
Oh, no, not at all. And I mean, look, I like nature mostly.
Yeah.
But I'm not the summer person who's just take off all the clothes and spend all my time outside. I'm just no, I don't want anything to do with it.
I'm sorry. I get fucking heat rash and all kinds of weird shit. Yeah. I'm not into it.
Yeah, for real. No, and oh man, this week, and the heat and my allergies have just coincided perfectly.
Yeah.
So allergies just decided to come on full force today.
I don't necessarily know that the influx of allergies is connected to climate change, but I mean, we're definitely getting a lot of moisture and heat in this part of the country now, which lends itself to increased plant growth. And I mean,
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Has the pollen just been crushing me lately?
Well, and Portland's just wild, too, because
it's true.
We have just so much variety in plant life. Because, I mean, and I've had summers where I am fine, like, basically don't even ever have to take, like, an allergy pill, and then I've had summers where I'm just dying for a month straight.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, it really varies, and,
just depends on the season, I guess.
Depends on the season, depends on, like, what parts of town you're hanging out in, like, where you're going, what you're doing, like...
Yeah, there's some plantings here in town, like, some mass plantings that, like, if you're allergic to that particular pollen, like, that neighborhood's gonna fucking wreck you.
Yeah, you know? Totally. Well, like, Ricky was talking about a few weeks ago that it looked like it was snowing in downtown Milwaukee from all the cottonwoods, but, like, we don't have any cottonwoods in our neighborhood, or, like, maybe one, but, you know.
But, yeah, it's not, like, a big deal.
Yeah. That's all there is in Fort Collins. It's, like, cottonwoods everywhere.
Wild.
Yeah, it gets super crazy. But, yeah, man. Well, anyhow, here we are. I think my allergy pill finally kicked in. I'm not, like, sniffling and dying over here from that. Just sort of sweating.
Yeah. For our listeners at home, we actually had to prepare for this intro. It's just not something that we usually have to do, but, like, we're both so just fucking lethargic from the heat.
Yeah, totally.
We had to apply some medicinal tequila, so...
Yep.
You know, here we are, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, only with the aid of chemistry.
Right, yeah, like, something's got to jazz me up here, or I'm just going to, like, fall asleep in my seat, man.
Serious, man. Yeah. We had a beer and a slice before we came here, and we're like, it's not going to be too much, you know.
Right.
Just a little pick-me-up to, like, give us some energy. I was ready to fucking take a nap in my stool.
Yeah.
At the fucking spot, dude.
Yep.
I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, for real. So this is cool. I don't have anything else to talk about. Like, I don't know.
Dude, yeah. Our lives are our lives are fine, but we don't need to belabor that point.
No. Nothing particularly exciting happened.
We did hang out, though.
We did hang out.
We had a game night. That was fun.
Yeah, totally.
Even did some magic playing.
We did.
That was cool.
Yeah. We had a whole day together. It was wild.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get a Saturday off more often.
Fucking A. Oh, my God. It was glorious.
Yeah,
the summer's looking good.
Cool.
Looking good.
Cool. Do things slow down during the summer for you?
Oh, absolutely.
That's good.
And thankfully, my boss has been pretty cool about, like, you know, if there's only one show per day on the weekend, it's like he'll give one person one show and another person the other show, and then time off for everybody else.
Nice.
So, like, it's been pretty choice. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, look forward to more hangs this summer.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Which could possibly generate some more bonus content or some other nonsense.
No, I definitely want to, like, have a moment where we can get out to the coast or, like, something like that, and just, you know.
Yeah, I'm really itching to get out of town, and I have a car that'll get us there, so we should make a plan for that sometime soon.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little side cast, you know.
Yeah.
Not necessarily coming up, but...
right? Fucking flashing sideways. Kind of like the last season of Lost. Dig it. Hell yeah, man. Well, speaking of traveling and nonsense like that, we're wrapping up the three-parter this week.
Yeah, this is the denouement, the fucking the resolution of the hero's journey here.
Yeah, and you know, we cliffhangered y'all for the first time ever. But
I'm a little conflicted about that after having listened to it. Kind of a dick move, but I think it works. So.
Yeah, it was just the way the recording times worked, so we just sort of had to leave it there. We couldn't go on at that moment.
Well, right, yeah.
And we didn't want to drop a 3.5-hour episode on y'all, so...
Exactly. Yeah, so this last one is actually from the same recording session as the previous episode, but this is just kind of like the wrap-up. And honestly, you know, we thought that we could fit the last one into just one session, but, you know, after I kind of, like, punted the whole fucking Maui trip fucking setup from the first episode, like, we definitely had some course correction to do, so it's not too surprising. Plus, I mean, there was, like, a whole nother rainbow gathering and, like, my really long messy breakup and
there was a lot to unpack at that point, you know, at the point we left you, the nexus point, so to speak.
Oh my god, the nexus point, it's where it all comes together. So
but this is fun because this kind of puts a cap on that whole little, like, arc of your life, which I found just, again, so fascinating.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
looking back on it, it was there was some fucking crazy times. It's hard to believe that it was, 20 years ago, but
right.
It's, almost to the day, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, wild.
So,
hell yeah.
That's when it all started.
That's cool.
So, yeah, just a little housekeeping for everybody. Sure you're already listening to this on a platform, and it's probably Spotify or Google Play or
YouTube, maybe. I think a couple people use that.
It's possible. Could be iTunes. If you're on Stitcher, please give us a rate and review. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of notes for this episode, but if you need links to anything else, as well as links to our Patreon, that's all going to be on the mothership, which is comingdownpod.com. As I mentioned, we do have a Patreon, and we cannot thank our patrons enough. Please go check us out. That's patreon.com/comingdownpod.
Totally. And, look, if there were an Olympic league for procrastination...
gold medalist here.
Yeah, I mean, I would at least bronze in it, I might not be the best. So...
Hey, buddy, don't doubt yourself.
Yeah. So shipments are actually going out. I got all the packing materials together today, and I think after we record this, maybe we'll pack up a couple things. But yeah, all those shipments are going out.
Master packer.
I have dropped a couple to some of the locals already, so they're getting their way out into the world.
Yeah. So if you haven't already checked out our Patreon, we definitely have some rewards for our patrons and a few different tiers. So.
Oh yeah, speaking of too, anyone who gets down on the Patreon at as low as $1 a month will get you access to the bonus content, of which by the time you're hearing this, there's a new episode up for that.
Oh yeah, some more hypotheticals for all of our patrons. Yep. Pretty happy with this one, I gotta say.
Me too. This bonus episode thing just keeps getting better and better, and now that we've gotten Shelby in on it.
God, Shelby is so fucking great.
Yeah, and I think Ricky wants to get in on some coming up soon, so they're just gonna get even more wily. So
okay,
yep,
yeah, really, really digging this bonus content. So if you want access to that, please just go and give us $1 on Patreon, and that is all yours.
Yep, totally.
If you'd like to be on the show, or if you just want to let us know how we're doing, or hit us up, or maybe even send us a death threat, that's at comingdownpod on Twitter, or you can hit us up via email, comingdownpod@gmail.com.
Totally, man. I think that's it, man.
Wow, yet another intro with no notes. I'm feeling good about this.
Right? Unscripted.
And without further ado, let's go! So there we are, approaching the nexus point. I'm in my body, but I'm not necessarily always in the same space and time as my friends, but they're still there with me. And eventually the children's parade comes and does their thing around the circle with the meditation pole, and they sang their song, which that year was really beautiful, and we all started singing it, and we sang along, and for the life of me I can't remember the lyrics, but it was fucking cool. And everybody starts oming, and I started doing my Tuvan throat singing thing. And, as I've stated before, the ohm gets picked up inside of your lungs and just kind of starts vibrating all throughout your tissues. And, oh my God, dude. Oh my fucking God. What that did to my fucking mind, I can't explain it necessarily with words, but there was a lot of sensations,
words pretty much lose meaning in these sorts of situations.
Consciousness is merging, and fucking feelings and colors and sounds, and it was just kind of one unified field phenomenon for a little while, in which we were all apart, and it was fucking incredible, man.
Yeah, I imagine it was.
I don't know that I will ever experience something like that ever again, and I certainly had not before.
Yeah, and boy, kind of like hearkening back to what we were talking about earlier of like defining what's real and what's not. You know, people who have done psychedelics just cannot deny that something profound happens.
Right.
What that means, how real it is, how whatever it is, like it's very hard to say, but there is a very distinct profound feeling, and I've definitely reached it. I'll be telling my story soon.
Yes.
Or you know, I've reached it a few times, and but yeah, and this is just why I encourage people to have a psychedelic experience.
Oh, seriously, like this is our PSA right here. Like,
and
people,
it sucks because there's probably a small percentage of the population that it's not cut out for, and I don't know who those people are, and I don't know how to define that.
Me neither.
And
that's the X factor.
You know, but I think everyone should take that risk.
Yeah, and like let's this is our PSA right here. Like, people, if you have not done psychedelics, find people that you love and trust.
Oh yeah,
who have done them before. And get it done.
And yeah, get it done. Also do your research. You know, we both were very responsible drug users. Like you said, you looked stuff up on Arrowhead.
Right.
I, you know, did my own means of internet research and various things to find out what I was actually getting into and like what these things really meant.
Right.
I recommend everyone take a very scientific approach to it.
Absolutely.
Don't just jump into it without a net. You know, yeah, build your support system to help you get through that first time.
100%. Set and setting.
But, you know, as Terrence would say, you know, going to the grave without a psychedelic experience is like going to the grave without ever having had sex or heard music or just any of those profound moments in your life. The things that are truly human, and I think the psychedelic experience is that.
I could not agree with you more.
So,
and I've felt this way since I was a teenager. Like, this is...
Yep.
It's one of the most visceral experiences that a human can have, and it's life-affirming and life-changing.
Yep.
Provided that you have the right set and setting and a means of assimilating it.
Yep. So wrap up this experience then.
Oh, right.
What else? What? Because surely this was not the end.
It's funny that we kind of left off there because we've before this experience, the group that I was with, we talked about what we called the hippie rapture.
Yeah.
Which is where, you know, on the 4th, everyone just does so many fucking psychedelics and ohms so goddamn hard that we either all beam up into the alien ships or we all spontaneously combust or we just all become energy and start astral traveling and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But, you know, one way or another, like, we either leave our bodies leave, or whatever, and like people just come to that place where the rainbow gathering was, and they're like, what happened to all the fucking hippies? There's like tents and kitchens and like
just fucking corduroys on the ground everywhere.
Yeah, you know, like there's this big field full of fucking like cups and plates and coolers and shit. And, like,
instead of like the bike wheel spinning, it's just like a devil stick fucking rotating around another stick. Fucking like, what happened?
Just a fucking dream catcher falling to the ground.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking perfect. Yeah, and so, I mean, clearly that's what happened. I mean...
Right.
End of story. The end. No, and actually, I meant to mention this about the Maui trip, is that we bumped into some folks from Eugene, and we'll definitely get into that on the Maui trip. But this dude named Otter, like after...
Yeah, Otter, bro.
I know, right? Like, right after the circle started breaking up, you know, like everyone stops ohming and like all these spontaneous drum circles start erupting, and I was convinced that I could map the rhythms from this one drum circle because they were in a 3-dimensional torus that was consuming itself, and I could somehow map this just by drawing the notes on graph paper and then curling it over, and then people could then play this on drums. That is untrue.
Really?
Yeah, I know you're as shocked as I am. But I was trying to do just like the 2-dimensional map on paper while I was still high. It's very amusing.
Awesome.
Anyway, a number of my group were asking me if I was okay. Mostly because we'd agreed to leave the gathering that night.
No, yeah, crazy.
I know. God fucking damn it. And I don't remember exactly where we were going to land that night. I want to say it was just in like a hotel outside of New York. But yeah, like the night before I was like, yeah, whatever, you know, like we're going to get high, but by the time we leave, it's going to be fine.
Uh-huh.
I in no way expected that I was going to eat everyone's fucking mushrooms. But again, I thought that I was a superhuman being and that I was capable of doing anything that I put my mind to.
I mean, you might have been. Like, that is pretty heroic.
So, when everyone asked me, are you sure you're okay with leaving the gathering? I was like, yeah, I mean, we got a wedding to get to, right? And so...
Did you have a wedding to get
yes,
to? Okay.
We had to get
Okay.
So this is something else that I left out and was going to get to, is that our good buddy Noah was getting married. And part of our agreement before we left on this trip was that we would get back in time to go to Noah's wedding, because Jessica and Todd were like best friends with this guy. They were all roommates together. Like,
yeah, you got to get back there.
Yeah, it was like, we got to get back for Noah's wedding. And part of it was that we had to get back in time to stay with them in this national park in the Sierras for like a day before the wedding.
Mm.
And I was kind of like, I mean, is that really that necessary? But I mean, it was, honestly, it was kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah.
But in reality, I should have been like, fuck no, we're tripping our nuts off at the gathering and we're going to fucking drive tomorrow. Fuck Noah's boys' vacation in the woods. We'll make it to his wedding.
Yeah.
But as I have stated, I was just kind of along for the ride and willing to do pretty much whatever. And so we left. We stayed in New York. The ride out of the gathering was a little harrowing just because I was so goddamn high. And like,
oh yeah,
I'm just in this fucking car now. It was a bit much at first.
I bet.
But, you know, I got through it. And we stayed in a place that night. And the next day, we went to New York City. And it was the only time I've been in New York City.
Oh, wild. You're just post.
Yeah.
Like, maybe even still...
Yep, but
still there like, a little bit.
Dude, at this time in my life, you know, like I've said, I fucking, those 2 years were just one thing after another. So it was like, cool, today we're in New York. What are we going to do in New York?
Yeah.
And so we're on the subway, and I don't know why, like, it just seemed like the right time. So I said... Oh, fuck. I'm going to fuck this up. I'm not going to start singing the song. But we started singing Poisoning Pigeons in the Park on the subway in New York. And I don't know if you've heard the song before.
No.
We're going to put it in the show notes.
Okay.
But it's fucking magnificent. And it's from a guy who's kind of the spiritual progenitor of Weird Al. Like...
Oh.
I can't remember his name right now.
Are you thinking of Tiny Tim?
No.
No, he's tiptoeing through the tulips.
Yeah, this is
poisoning
another guy.
Pigeons in the park.
This is another guy. And honestly, I would Google it right now if it was really that big of a deal.
It's fine. We'll find it.
Poisoning pigeons in the park. You know, like,
okay.
Maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two as we poison the pigeons in the park. You know, like... we'll murder them all amid laughter and merriment, except for the ones we take home to experiment. Anyway, yeah, it's a silly, dirty song about murdering pigeons in the park, and we were headed to Central Park, and that's why we were singing that on the subway.
Reasonable.
And all of these fucking New York residents are just looking at us like these fucking tourists. Jesus fucking Christ. And, par for the course. But
I'm surprised they even gave a shit. That's like not even the weirdest thing they saw in the last 15 minutes.
Of course not. Well, and I mean, even riding the Max here in Portland, it's like if someone started singing Poisoning Pigeons in the Park, I'd just think they were fucking drama students, Like,
sure. Yeah.
Who cares? And so we get off at Times Square, and we went and sat in Michael Jordan's bar right there in fucking Times Square, and I didn't have the balls to order a drink there, but my friends told me that I could. Didn't actually do it, but we went to a place called Gino's on the Lower East Side, and they're famous for their bad wallpaper. Originally, it was... I don't remember what it was originally, but Gino got so much shit for his bad wallpaper that he replaced it with blood red wallpaper with zebras and arrows on it.
Weird.
It looks like shit, but he was like, you know what? You tell me my wallpaper's tacky? I'll show you fucking tacky wallpaper.
How about worse wallpaper?
Yeah. And so there's this like 50-year-old waiter taking my order, and I ordered, he's like, do you want something to drink with that? And I said, yeah. And he's like, what do you want? And in that moment, I was like, Jesus, I don't know what the fuck to order. I don't know the names of any of the beers that they've got. I looked at the wines, but I don't know what the fuck they are. I should just order a cocktail that I know the name of.
Harvey Wallbanger.
We're in Manhattan. Manhattan!
Nice.
So I ordered Manhattan. And the guy just kind of looks at me like, he's like, you don't even know what the fuck that is, but well played, sir.
All right.
And so he brought me a fucking Manhattan, and it was by no means a very good Manhattan.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of surprised by, but dude, fuck it.
Fuck it.
It was my first drink that I ever ordered.
So you guys had to get to a wedding on the West Coast, but then you dipped to New York for a day?
Well, you got to understand, Pennsylvania's right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there.
And so, like, the way that we looked at it, where we were in Pennsylvania, we had to get around the Great Lakes one way or another. My sister's in Vermont. I haven't seen her in years.
Okay.
We're going to visit my sister in Vermont.
Okay.
So we're going through New York.
Okay.
And we're going to go around the Great Lakes on the north side.
But you have to go into Canada, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
okay.
You've recognized the flaw in this plan. Now, actually, it's unclear exactly how this works. Because so we crossed into Canada because where we were in New York, it made more sense to drive through Canada down into Vermont.
Oh, wild.
And then back up into Canada and across the Great Lakes. So that's what we did. And, our border crossing was just driving across the border. There was nothing there. So we drove to Vermont. We did some Molly with my sister. Stayed up all night. Shared a lot of stories. Like I said, I hadn't seen her in years. And so it was just kind of like this amazing reconnection, like watershed moment, And so we stayed up all night. And then the next day we drove into Canada and got stopped at the border, and I was still high. So when they asked me if I'd ever been arrested for anything, I told them about that time in Ashland when I got popped.
Oh, when you were underage, though?
Yep. And it got expunged from my record, but I was just so worried that they would still find it.
Oh, no.
With their magical computers in Canada.
Right.
And so they decided to search the fucking car.
Oh, no.
We had a pill bottle full of Molly. We had like a pound of mushrooms. We had a bunch of weed. We had pipes galore. I decided to bring a scale with me for reasons. I also had LSD.
Damn.
It was a bust waiting to happen. And so once I told them that I'd been arrested when I was 17 for marijuana, they told us to pull into this lot and wait for our car to be searched. And so when that happened, we went into full fucking Han Solo mode. And Todd got in the back seat and started stuffing all of his drugs into his pants.
Yeah.
And we did our best to get all of the paraphernalia and whatever that we could, like, situated, but we had very little time.
Yeah.
It was basically Todd just knowing where his shit was and making sure it wasn't in any of the bags that were going to get searched. And
so you just, like, put all this stuff on your person and was like, hopefully they don't search us.
Yep. Well, I mean, Todd did, but the rest of us were just kind of shell-shocked and going, what the fuck do we do? But Todd sprang into action.
Okay.
And so they searched my bag first. They completely neglected the top pocket, which had the pouch, or the pouch with my pipe in it, my LSD, and my weed, if I had any weed. I don't remember. It had my pipe and my pouch and my LSD. That I remember. Then they found the pocket with my scale, and they're like, well, what's this all about? And it said gem gram or something on that.
Yeah.
And it showed like little gemstones, and I'm like, oh, well, we were rock hunting back when we were in North Carolina, and we were just trying to figure out how much everything was worth. And she's like, yeah, okay.
Whoa.
I know, nice. Right? And so keeps moving on, goes through Jessica's bag, finds her bong, because homegirl brought a fucking bong on this trip.
Why not?
And didn't find her little pipe, thankfully, but she had to sign over her bong to the crown. So Queen Elizabeth now owns Jessica's bong.
Nice.
And then around that time, she searched Abby's med kit, and Abby was in the bathroom, and she found bee pollen. And it looks like a yellow shimmery powder.
Oh.
So
looks like it's something.
Yeah, like the dude who was out there too is like, what the fuck is that? And she's like, I don't know. What is this? I'm like, I don't know, it's not mine. And she's like, well, whose is this? Like, it's Abby. She's in the bathroom. The guy's like, well, I'm taking this back to get tested. And she's like, I'm pretty sure that's not drugs. And he's like, well, it's a powder that we don't know what it is, so I'm taking this back to get tested. Dude was an idiot.
Yeah.
And so he bails, and she's just kind of like, okay, whatever. Well, she keeps digging through the med kit. Abby shows up. She's like, oh, hey, we had to send something from this to get tested, but I'm pretty sure it's nothing. Here, if you want to pack this back up. And she's like, oh, okay. And she's this kind of curly-haired, like, dishwater blonde lady who, like, is really fucking smart, but knows how to pretend to be an idiot. And she's like, okay, cool. And she's like kind of like putting stuff back in and looking around, and just sets it on the seat of the truck and like goes back to like packing up her bag. Meanwhile, Todd takes all of the fucking drugs that are in his pants and he puts them in Abby's med kit, and he fucking zips it back up and he hands it to her. She puts it back in her bag, which has already been searched.
Smooth.
Todd gets out of the car, wipes about a gallon of sweat off of his face.
Yeah.
And we get through the rest of that fucking border check.
Holy shit, dude. I didn't know we were getting a close calls in here.
Yeah, buddy. The story's got it all.
Yeah.
So we're driving away, and I should mention that while on our way there, Jason has been wearing his flight suit as much as possible. Because, of course, dude has a flight suit. He's also got a head full of curly hair that, if he doesn't do anything with it, just kind of becomes an afro.
Yeah.
And we're driving through Missouri, and I'm driving, and it's raining so hard that you can't see through the windshield. And so I'm, like, looking out the window to see the road in front of us, and there's a semi about 2 car lengths, or 1 car length ahead, and we're trying to pass it, and he turns on his left blinker right as we get about to his bumper. So he's trying to just turn into us. He can't see us.
Right.
And so I'm already next to him, and I have 2 options. One is to hit the brakes, on a road that's so fucking wet that we're already hydroplaning a bit.
Yeah. And then his back end, like, hits your front.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or I can go for it.
Gun it.
I stomped that fucking gas pedal so hard and stuck my head out the window. And behind me, Jason says, "Red 5, you've turned off your targeting computer. Is everything all right?"
Right on.
And with my head out the window, I yelled, "I'm taking her in on manual!" And we got there.
Nice.
So we're pulling out of the fucking border check. And Jason waits a minute, like, looks at all of us. And he says, "These are not the drugs you're looking for."
Yep.
So that was our home.
So this dude's
moment.
just like a walking Star Wars reference.
I'm just saying, like, he pulled it off. And
Nice.
so...
Yeah, dude, that's nuts.
So we drive through Canada. And we're taking this freeway route around the Great Lakes. By the way, way quicker than driving through the fucking States. Like, the route around the lakes on the southern side is twisty. You got to go through all these fucking cities and shit.
Yeah.
In Canada, it's just a straight shot.
Well, there's only one road, right?
Yeah, it's Vermont to Detroit in one fucking day. No,
I mean only
asked.
one road in Canada.
Just follow the only road.
You know, sorry, South Park jokes.
You son of a bitch. So yeah, we get to Detroit, and at this point, I mean, we're coming from Canada into Detroit.
Right.
We're definitely getting searched. Like,
right.
If we're getting searched in bumfuck Vermont,
right,
like, they're gonna give us the rundown here. And so before we even get in line for fucking customs, like, we've already gone through all the bags and we've secreted everything on our persons.
Okay.
Like, if they need to search the car, they're not gonna find a fucking thing.
Sure.
And so...
You're fucked if they have dogs. You're fucked if they search you.
This is pre 9/11, man.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So we get into the line of cars.
It's still kind of a risk, though.
They flag us to go into the line for searching. We're like, we already got popped in Canada. Like, we've got to be on a list for coming back in.
Oh, that too. Yeah, right.
You know, and so, you know, we go into the building. They tell us to fucking have a seat. And one by one, they're pulling us into this room. And, like, every time someone comes out, they, like, give us the eyes, like, shit, you know? But, like, the shrug, like, we're good.
Yeah.
You know? So we know to, like, be on top of it, but there's a way that we get out of this.
Right.
Every person knows this after Todd comes out, because he was the first to go in.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, he had everything. So, like, if he's good, then we're good. But I've got some LSD on me, you know, like... There's definitely some issues here. But Jason goes in before me. And, like, they call him Captain. Because he's wearing a flight suit. And, like, after Jason, like, the guy just looks deflated. And he's like, all right, man, come on. And I've got long hair and a goatee. Like, I look the roughest out of all of us. The rest kind of look like they're maybe, like, fucking college students or something. I look like I'm the guy who's supplying the drugs. Like
you just came from a rainbow gathering?
Like, no fucking question, you know? Like, I'm a little rough around the edges. My shit is fucking beat, you know, like... I'm the guy. But he just asks me a few questions, like... I'm so fucking bored and tired and half-assed. He's just like, dude... We already fucking put a dog in the car. Like, you might as well tell us where the shit is before we just have to rip it apart.
Damn.
And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I don't know of any fucking drugs in that car. And the guy's just like, yeah, all right, get out of here.
Oh, man. It's just like, fine. Didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Because they knew that we had something, but, like, they didn't have, like, unless they feel like it's, you know, legit, they're not going to waste the manpower on a couple of roaches, you know? Like,
Right. Yeah, and like a couple hippies with a personal stash isn't trafficking. It isn't fucking...
Like, you get some idiots to confess, that's some easy paperwork.
Yeah.
You're not going to tear apart somebody's car just because somebody acts nervous, you know?
Totally.
There's hundreds of people coming through across that border every hour.
Yeah, right.
It's a numbers game for them,
right?
You know. So yeah, that was our return experience, and then we drove from there into Madison, Wisconsin. Stayed the night at Abby's grandparents' house. Like, two of the most beautiful people I've ever met. They were so sweet. They have a beautiful home, and Madison, Wisconsin, is amazing.
I've heard Wisconsin's kind of rad.
It's just gorgeous, man. I mean, like, I don't know what it's like to live there, but just driving around, it looks like all these fucking shots out of a Wes Anderson movie. You know, like leaves gently falling from a fucking tree. You know, like,
everyone's got issues with their dad.
Right? But, you know, like, if you're gonna fucking retire or raise some kids in a picturesque environment, you can find a much worse place than Madison, Wisconsin.
Nice.
I chose to drive out of this town, and I drove from there to Blue Earth, Montana. For our listeners at home, that is 7.5 hours of straight driving.
Yeah, that's a long haul.
And it is almost arrow straight and dead level.
Hell yeah.
So after a little while, during the 7th hour, I started hallucinating.
Yeah.
And I was seeing these great trees on either side of the road, like 30, 40 feet in diameter. Just
damn.
Enormous trees with branches that interlaced hundreds of feet above the road.
Damn. And
it was beautiful and majestic. And I remember asking someone if those trees were hallucinations, because I was pretty sure that they were. And they said, hey, why don't you let somebody else take over?
Yeah, probably time to pull on over, buddy.
You've done a great job. How about you don't kill us now?
Yup.
And so, somebody else took over, and we ended up driving all the way to Yellowstone that night. And the problem there was that we were looking at a map, and it was really obvious that driving through Yellowstone was just straight up faster than driving all the way south of the national park.
Yeah.
Trying to go west from there. And so we're like, well, fuck it. You know, like, I'm pretty sure it's just a national park. Let's just drive through it.
Yeah.
And we got there at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. There's a huge gate across the road. Shit. And we pulled into the ranger station that was there, and we went inside and we said, hey, on the map it shows this as being a national highway. Can we not get through here? The guy just starts laughing at us. And he's like, I mean, yeah, it's a national highway, but it's also a national park.
Yeah.
And this national park has buffalo and grizzly in it. A lot of them. So you can't drive through it at night because they're in the road a lot.
Oh.
And you can't see them until it's too late.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh. Well, what should we do? And he's like, well, if you want to stay here, I don't remember how much it was. I think it was going to be like $20 a piece to like stay there that night.
Oh boy, yeah.
And we were like, well, I mean, how much are the hotels back in town? He's like, oh, you mean 80 miles back that way?
Right.
And we're like, oh, God. And he's like, yeah, I mean, if you're going to go back that way, it's almost faster to just keep going down around the park.
And then you can go and find your other road to get around.
Yeah. And he's like, but, you know, it's up to you what you want to do. And we're like, man, fuck it. We're so tired. Let's just stay here tonight. And he's like, okay, make sure you take everything out of your car. And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, you, even if you don't think that it's got food on it, just do yourself a favor and take everything out of your car, unless it's like, you know, the jack or the spare tire or the fucking manual or whatever.
Yeah,
But like all your bags, all your clothes, take them out of the car. And we're like, well, can you just humor us and tell us why we can't leave a bag in the car? And he's like, well, let's say you left a fucking jelly bean in that bag. There's a grizzly bear who's going to smell that jelly bean through your car, and he's going to come by and he's going to take your door off just so he can figure out what that smell is.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter to him.
Yeah.
Taking the door off your car is nothing. He's like,
Damn.
You see these dumpsters that we've got out here? And sure enough, there's these fucking contraptions.
Just like armored plated tank dumpsters.
Oh my god, you have no idea. Like, converging grids of steel bars, you know? And like, so, you know, we're like, oh, well, okay. I mean, I guess the bears are a real deal out here, huh? And he's like, you have no idea. He's like, so many people don't take our word for it, and they just pay the price. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, the buffalo too. Like, everybody thinks that they're just like dumb, docile animals and that this is some kind of zoo, but people get hurt out here every year. And we're like, really? And he's like, oh yeah. And I mean, honestly, I hesitate to tell this story just because this is not like some grim fucking Snuff Tales podcast. But God damn it, here we are.
Yeah.
This guy told me that this couple wanted to take a picture with their baby and a grizzly bear.
Oh, no.
So they put honey on the baby's head.
No.
Thinking the bear would lick the honey off of the baby and that they would get this really cute picture, right? So they gave the bear a honey-covered baby as a snack.
I don't believe that I think people are stupid enough to do this. I also think that this is like something the ranger gets a kick out of telling fucking tourists.
And like, this is one of the reasons why I considered not mentioning it, is because like,
yeah,
who the fuck knows if this is just some bullshit that this ranger made up?
Right.
But I also know that there's people from Florida and
right. No, I'm sure people do all the dumbest things ever. So
I figure it's at least worth the fucking the legendary status that he conveyed onto it.
Yeah.
Because fucking here we are, right?
Yeah, totally.
So according to a park ranger, a bear ate a baby.
Yeah.
And they tried to complain to the park about it. So, anyway, we stayed in a cabin that night. We weren't eaten by bears. And the next day, we drove through Yellowstone.
Hell yeah.
And I tell you what, man, we could not have made a better bad decision. Like, trying to drive through Yellowstone at 11 o'clock at night, terrible idea.
Yeah.
You literally can't do it.
Wasn't going to happen.
But the next day, you know, we got up not that early, but early enough that it was, you know, well before noon. So, you know, we're getting through the peak of the park right around noon.
Hell yeah.
And, like, there's all these fucking glorious sulfur pools and rock formations and bison and...
Yeah.
Dude, that place is fucking amazing.
Hell yeah.
Highly recommend going there at some point.
I have not been to Yellowstone. I've been a number of other good places in Wyoming, but not Yellowstone. So
it's dope.
Hell yeah. Well, should make a pilgrimage.
Hell yeah. I'll go with you.
Have you only driven through? Have you ever like stayed there?
No, I mean we stopped at like the big lodge and like
Sure.
walked out to Old Faithful.
See, fuck though. We should maybe just like plan a camping trip out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I want to get eaten by grizzlies. Let's make it happen,
dude. Right? I'll bring my jelly beans
and my babies.
Yep, honey covered babies.
Right? just cover a baby in honey. You'll be fine. So yeah, we drove through the park. After that, it was just basically as straight of a shot as we could make it to the Sierras. And we ended up bumping into Noah, and, you know, despite my disparaging his fucking bachelor party because I wanted to be high as fuck in the mountains in Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
we had a really good time hanging out with Noah in the Sierras.
Hell yeah.
So, very few qualms, if any.
Hell yeah.
And despite like the heartbreaking nature of some aspects of this trip, like, wouldn't trade that shit for the world.
No, I mean, this sounds fucking wild, dude. Like, cross-country trips are so cool. Right? And so, I guess, where do we all, like, wrap up here? I don't know. Like, where do we...
I feel like if I just give some story beats from, like, the events that followed, it's kind of a wrap-up,
Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously... things just continued after that, but like
right.
And I did go to one more rainbow gathering the next year, but it was it was after Jessica and I broke up, and I did acid once, and it was fucking remarkable. Don't get me wrong, we saw a cloud that looked, no joke, exactly like Falcor.
Yes.
Like, down to individual, like, curling mustache hairs.
Dude, yes.
And granted, we were all on LSD, but we had a friend who was there with us who was sober. And the third time that we asked her if she was just humoring us because we were high, she was like, God damn it, you guys. How often do you think I fucking see clouds that look exactly like Falcor with moving arms and a waving tail? I'm not fucking with you. I'm seeing this too.
Yeah.
Like, this just happens to be a very special cloud, and I'm glad that you guys were high to see it.
Yeah.
But can you fucking stop? I'm not just humoring you.
Can you just not ruin this for me?
It's really happening. I'm like, but it's just too perfect. She's like, I know.
Yeah, so I guess, like, not to belabor, like the demise of you and Jessica's relationship, but that's been the through line of this whole story.
Oh, sure. And I mean, if you want me to, like, I'm down to, like,
I don't want the nitty gritty details at all, but I guess just just find a way to put a bow on it.
Well, ultimately, as I've mentioned, like, our monogamy was clearly at an end, and
right.
In her mind, even if it hadn't been set before the trip started, after the trip, she was pretty sure that she just wanted to do this thing with Jason.
Right.
And so, ultimately, I decided that I still felt kind of invested in this whole Jessica thing, and I also really dug hanging out with Jason and Todd and Abby. Almost more than Jessica. So, and like,
they've been your friend group for a couple of years now.
Well, this is something that I hesitated to mention, but like, I almost liked hanging out with Jason more than Jessica. Like,
yeah,
Jason was just fucking cool, man, and like, we connected on so many levels. Like,
yeah,
he had all these rad underground comics that were like titles that I had always been curious about but had never read.
Hell yeah.
And he was like, dude, check it out. And I'm like reading all this fucking Mobius and shit, and like,
oh yeah,
and I'm telling him about shit that he'd been curious about, and he's just picking him up because he works at a bookstore. And like, we had this weird little brain jam going for a little while where, like, when we could ignore the Jessica shit, it was like we were just broing down hard.
Yeah.
And so it was weird, man. Like, we stayed with Jason for a little while, and then we ended up getting a little shack together on this hippie commune. Despite the fact that her and Jason were still together, we were living together.
All three of you?
No, just me and Jessica.
Oh, weird.
Jason needed us to get the fuck out of his house because his roommate was starting to lose his shit. But like, real estate in Topanga is very hard to come by, and they were hanging on to this apartment as hard as they could. So we just went to live in this fucking shack, and like, we slept in the same bed together, but it was never conjugal.
Yeah,
even though it was naked sometimes. I don't know. We were hippies, but
yeah,
like,
I mean, whatever.
And I kind of held out this hope for a little while that like we would make it work out again somehow, but then I kind of started falling for this friend of Jason's named Kelly, And we decided to make a go for it. And, like, you know, I think in her mind, she kind of knew that, like, this was maybe just a rebound for me, but she also cared about me enough that it was like, I don't care if it's necessarily just a rebound. Like, you need this. I like you. Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that it kind of made Jessica recognize that, like, you know, there was that I could be kind of smooth sometimes, you know, like, because I wasn't trying to rub it in her face that I was going to bone Kelly, you know, but, like, I also had to talk to her on our landline phone in our fucking shack, and so, like, you know, like, I was trying to, like, just like, oh, hey, did you want me to come hang out? All right, cool, I'll see you in a little bit. And she's just like, man, sometimes I wish I could go back in time so that, like, you could be that boyfriend for me. And I'm like,
weird,
man. All right. So eventually, I ended up getting this construction job through Jason, framing houses in Malibu.
Yep.
My boss was a former Coke Lord who at one point went to South America, stayed there for several months, and came back with a number of duffel bags filled with cocaine and locked himself in a house for like a month or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it was a bad scene. And so finally, like, interventions had to happen and whatnot, but he was convinced that the FBI was after him because he was part of the Weather Underground at one point. And after some time of being his framer on his crew, his office assistant was forced to quit because his girlfriend thought that he was having an affair with her. I honestly don't think that was the truth, because that woman, pretty sure, had more self-respect than that. But his girlfriend was crazy, and so was he, so...
Oh, boy.
He had to fire her, and they knew, or he found out that I'd done data entry for my parents at one point, and so just figured that meant that I could be an office guy. I was like, fuck you, dude, I'm a carpenter. But whatever, if you want to pay me the same wage to sit in your office all day, I'll fucking do that, because it's a much shorter drive.
Yeah.
And so, you know, at some point I started getting bored and, like, web surfing, and one day I forgot to delete the history, and one of the websites that I went to was, like, a legal psychedelics website. You know, research pharmaceuticals kind of a thing. And he flipped out and was like, you know, the fucking FBI is watching me. You might have cost me my freedom, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
he
Lord.
Fucking fired me. Wanted me to sign all this paperwork and stuff. And I was like, man, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. Your paranoid ass is fine. Get out of here.
Yeah, hell no am I signing any of this shit. And he's like, well, you know, it's your fault. And, like, FBI... if you just take care of this, it's gonna save me a lot of trouble. And I'm like, what do I care about you, dude? You're fucking firing me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Get bent, dude.
Like, what kind of incentive do I have to fucking sign these papers? Well, you know, you'd be really proving yourself to be a stand-up guy. And I'm like, you're not even paying me for the day that I worked when you fired me, where I dug fucking 5-6 foot holes on your property. Holes which I might remind you were filled with construction debris because you were too cheap to fucking haul the scrap off your site.
Oh, he's just burying his scrap?
It. Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah,
so,
fuck that.
I mean, I would love to end this relationship cordially because I feel like you're a good guy. But first of all, I'm not signing anything. Secondly, you need to pay me for the last day that I fucking worked.
Yeah, no shit.
He's like, well, I gave you your vacation pay, and that's... I'm like, yeah, it's exactly equivalent to that one day. I didn't even know that I got vacation pay, so I don't know what you're trying to fucking pull.
The way you're talking about this, I feel like you hold a harder grudge against this dude than you do against your ex-girlfriend. I feel like you're just like still holding this one. You're just like, fuck this guy.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, dude, agreed.
I can rationalize a lot of the shit that Jessica did. That guy's just a coked out fucking moron. He's just a fucking California fucking sycophant with a fucking problem with his dick, you know? Like, I have no sympathy.
Awesome.
Anyway, so that was kind of the beginning of the end. Like,
yeah.
And I'm glossing over a lot of shit because, dude, some rad shit happened in Topanga, and guess what? We're doing an episode about it. So,
I imagine we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of this shit will actually get fleshed in, but that day that I got fired, I was like, okay, so I'm living in a house with my ex-girlfriend who apparently still loves me, but is also in love with someone else and is more committed to that guy. I don't have a job, and my closest friends are an hour and a half drive away, because Spencer lived in Pasadena at that point.
Yeah.
And it was an hour and a half away. And so my plan was to go live with Spencer and Danny in their house with one bedroom, where one of them lived in the living room.
Yep. Familiar.
Yeah. And who knows where I was going to live there. But, you know, go move to Pasadena, try to find a job, and just make it work somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, fuck, well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fucking call my mom and run this by her, because, like, these are some major life decisions, and I feel like I need some outside fucking guidance on this. So I call my mom, and, you know, I tell her what's going on. And at some point, I don't remember, like, where we were in the conversation, but she kind of interrupts me. And she's like, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to put your dad on the phone, and I just want you to tell him everything that you just told me. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I never talk to my dad. Like,
yeah.
You know, when me and my dad talk, it's like, hey, happy birthday, I love you, bye. You know, like, there's not a whole lot of this happened and that happened, and so I think I'm going to do this kind of shit. Like,
yeah.
That's just not a part of our lexicon, which is unfortunate. You know, I mean, it would be great if my dad and I could have that kind of relationship. But I just think that we're such different people that that's just not really anywhere that we're likely to get. That said, my mom put my dad on the phone. I told my dad what was going down with me and Jessica and what had gone down with my job. And he just said, man, that sounds like it's not a whole lot of fun right now. I think he just said, that sounds pretty bad. Can you get on a train tomorrow and come up here? And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, I could, but I mean, like, I got all this stuff down here and whatnot. Like, I just, you know, I don't really know what I'm going to do about all that. And my dad's like, well, I really need somebody up here to build decks. We got a bunch of houses that we're building, and I don't really have a deck crew, and I'm trying to put it together right now. I could really use somebody. And I'll start you out at $15 an hour, but you got to get up here tomorrow.
Damn.
And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, that sounds like what I want to do. But I don't know what I'm going to do about all my stuff down here. And he's like, well, how much of it are you going to need right away? I'm like, well, I mean, nothing really. He's like, well, okay. If I loan you one of my trucks, can you just go down there in a few weeks and go pick it up? And I'm like, well, I don't see why that would be a problem. And he's like, well, okay. Why don't you get on a train tomorrow?
Damn.
I said, all right, Dad. That is the nicest thing that my dad has ever done for me. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying, like, that dude pulled me out of one of the biggest mind fucks I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Simply because he didn't want to see me endure it anymore.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I feel like I've felt something similar to that, and I don't think that anyone should ever have to be there. So why don't you just get out of there, and you could figure it out once you're not there anymore. was really all that he was trying to do for me.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, like, he also needed somebody to build decks, but like,
sure, but
he could have gotten any other.
He could have gotten anyone. Yeah.
So, you know, I say a lot of hard stuff about my father, but like at the end of the day, my dad pulled me out of.
Well, and that's a cool effort too, because he gave you, like, by doing that too, he gave you worth when you were feeling probably fairly worthless.
Right.
You know?
And, you know, like, say what you will about my dad, he fucking saw me in that moment.
Yeah.
And did what he could.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's cool. It's
and
cool
so,
for sure.
I left.
So that was that. You said peace out,
yeah,
Jessica.
Yeah. So I said peace out to everybody, and then I came back down with the truck like 2 or 3 weeks later, and the super dope thing is I went through San Francisco first, and I hooked up with Spencer and all of these rad fucking folks that I'd been partying with for like 2 years that thought me and Jessica were the fucking shit, and just wanted to fucking celebrate with me for a night because they hadn't seen me in forever because I'd been in LA, and I'm just like, oh, you fucking guys, like, oh, this is so great. I'd forgotten about all this, and so I'm coming across the bridge, coming across the Bay Bridge in San Francisco, driving this F-150, and it's stop and go traffic. It's after dark. I don't even know why there was a traffic jam at this point, but then fireworks start going off from the riverside, or from the Bayside, sorry, and they're erupting just above the level of the bridge, so it's like perfectly right outside my driver's side window, and it's like smiley faces and Saturns and yin yangs. Nice. And all this crazy fucking fireworks shit that I've never seen before in my life. And I'm like, how am I in the perfect place to see all of this? This is fucking insane. You know, I mean, like I said, synchronicity storm, this, that, and the other.
Serendipity,
like,
yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
And then I go into San Francisco, and Spencer's like, hey, you know, one of our good friends is at this Italian restaurant. We're going to go meet up with all the other folks. They've saved us the fucking family dining area. We had 3-foot tall bottles of Chianti. You know,
nice, yeah.
Like
I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah,
totally.
We killed one. Like, it was amazing. Like, I felt like, and after we left the restaurant, we're just tearing around the streets of downtown San Francisco, and I just had this fucking Jack Kerouac moment where it's just like, we're just a bunch of fucking drunk young folks being weirdos in San Francisco right now.
Hell yeah.
This is it, you know? And I mean, like, that was really what I needed. Like, apart from the shit in band, like, I needed to connect with my California family that wasn't her, and like, remember that, like, that's not all that defined me down there.
Yeah, for real.
And then I got down to Topanga and, like, had some great times with Todd and Abby and Jason. I think Todd and Abby were actually broken up at this point, but still cordial. Yeah. Todd's a rad dude, and Abby's awesome too. And the last night that I was there, Jessica, man, I don't even know if this is too personal or not, but
you don't have to tell anything you don't want to tell. Find a way to put a bow on it, though. Is all I'm saying.
Let's just say that the last night that I was there, Jessica, in a very meaningful moment when we were both at our most vulnerable, looked me right in the eyes and said, "Is this really what you want?"
Wow.
And in that moment I said, yes, this is what I want.
Huh.
And that was the end of me and Jessica.
Yeah.
That said, we did see each other again at the Rainbow Gathering in Montana that year.
Mm-hmm.
She was with Jason, I was with Kelly, and things were very cordial, but also pretty strained and a little awkward and kind of painful. There was there were some weird recriminations from Jessica. Like, I think she was just a little hurt that I left.
Which is fucking whack, but...
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
But
yeah.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, totally.
And, you know, ultimately, like, I have no hard feelings. Like, that woman showed me so fucking much of the fucking cool shit.
Yeah.
That...
Well, it sounds like at the end of the day... The end was sort of rocky and kind of went down in a way that was unfortunate, but what you shared was fucking pretty insane.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, you definitely can't beat that.
No.
So, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to have something so fucking visceral come to an end.
Well, yeah, I mean, you bond with someone that deeply on psychedelics, because, I mean, granted, we glossed over a ton
of course
the psychedelic stories that were, like, you know, foundational, like all the shit in Maui. Whew.
Right. Well, I think the listener at home and even myself can kind of fill in the gaps because we've done 5 hours now kind of telling the origin story of Matthew and... you know, look, yeah, I don't need all the details. You're talking about 2 years with a person.
Yeah.
You went and did all of these wild things. You had such crazy experiences. There's no way you don't connect on some deep level. And it sounds like you guys went a little deeper than most. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, she, you know, she's still out there. Like, there's been a couple of times when she's tried to hit me up on Facebook. And I just kind of feel like...
Yeah.
I'm happy with that door closed, you know.
And that's totally fair. Yeah.
But wherever you are out there, Jessica, nothing but love.